This meeting is being recorded.
Amazing. So welcome everyone. We're kicking off the bootcamp sessions today. We have two amazing speakers from the group. So we have Aline, who's in our comms, who's going to run through our intro today on Shell Hoop Group, just to give you all a better insight into what Shell Hoop is and who we work with. And it's really interesting. I learned a lot from it even when I joined the group. And then we have Christina, who's head of intelligence, and she's going to come in afterwards, and she's going to be speaking on market insights. And there's going to be, after Aline speaks, if there's any questions you have regarding Shell Hoop Group or anything she's discussed in her presentations, we'll have like a 5 to 10 minute Q&A. And then following the insights, we'll also have another Q&A as well, because I know from the last times we've done this, there is a few questions that pop up. Before we kickstart, I know I've done this the last few times, but I want to do this again, where I get you all to introduce your brand to Aline. So again, it's a quick one, but we can start off with Daphne, if you want to start off with Alam.
Oh, yeah, you can hear me, right? Yeah, okay. My name is Daphne, and I'm the founder of Alam Health and Beauty. And Alam Health and Beauty, really shortly, is a brand which is all about the inner and outer body health and beauty. Like overall balance comes from both inside and out. So the main product supports people in their journey to take the best care of themselves inside and out.
Amazing, thank you. And Celia, Arena, do one of you want to give your intro, or you can do it together?
Sure. So I'm the founder of Rena Roots. This brand was launched or was inspired by my work as a UN humanitarian workers in many different emergencies, including in Afghanistan, where I realized that there's an opportunity to create jobs and go beyond charity and source raw ingredients such as, rose and medicinal immortelle to create luxury products or skincare effective products that are good across the supply chain, from the farmer all the way to the end consumer. Over to you, Celia.
Hi, Aline. Nice to meet you. I'm Celia. I'm co-founder of Rena Roots, and Irene and I have partnered. Her background as a UN humanitarian and my background working in the skincare industry for many years to prove that doing good for your skin and the world is possible.
Amazing. And then we have Astrid and Lee.
Hi, my name is Astrid. I'm founder of Nude, and we are a solution wear brand with core range of bra alternatives that promise lift and support for women of all sizes and ethnicities. And that includes our Game Changer Lift and Shape bra, Shape Tape breast tape, and No Show nipple covers. And Lee is my co-founder. Lee.
Hello.
And then Rosemary, if you want to go next.
Yes, so hi Aline, I'm Rosemary. I'm the founder of Salma Loves Beauty, which is a natural hair care and body care line inspired by the Lebanese nature. We source most of our ingredients from local farmers who have been growing these herbs, flowers, and trees for thousands of years. So yep, that's pretty much it.
And then we have two of the three for Palma de Salud. So Zina or Aradna, do one of you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Aradna, the co-founder of Palma de Salud. We basically are a luxury personal care brand. We're trying to make everyday essential extraordinary and elevate the over-the-counter experiences with medically effective but beautiful products. And our the first product that we launched is the hand sanitizing lotion. And yeah, like super proud of it and super happy to be here.
Amazing. And Christina has also joined the call as well. So she'll be the second speaker that we have on today. But Christina, do you want to just give a quick intro to yourself, and then we can kick off with Aline?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, big pleasure to see you all. Thank you for joining us, and I know it's a great start on an amazing journey for all of you. I'm sure the team will do a lot of great work for you. I'm personally very touched by this type of programs. I was participating in this program in Sephora, where I previously worked. So So I know a little bit Irena, so it's nice to see her here as well. So my name is Christina. I'm head of intelligence in Chalhoub Group. I joined the group a bit more than a year ago. So in my scope, we do the overview of the market. We'll look at different deep dives. We do it consumer deep dives. We'll look at different categories. We'll look at changes in the market and marketplaces. So before that, I was in Paris. I was working at Sephora, and before that, I've built my career in the luxury beauty industry. So started my career at LVMH, worked at L'Oréal, Estée Lauder brands, then a bit of LVMH again, and now I'm in Dubai. So great to meet you all.
Amazing. And so Christina will kick off our second part of this session, but first we have the amazing Aline. So if you want to do an intro and share your screen and kick it all off.
Of course. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. So I'm Aline. I'm part of the group communications team here at Chalhoub Group. And the group is, the team actually is made up of many divisions, and I'm part of media relations and public affairs. So today I'll be taking you through the group presentation. So basically telling you all about Chalhoub, our history, what we do today, and the brands we work with, not only international ones, but local ones as well. I've been with the group for 5 years, recently joined group communications, and as part of the media relations and public affairs team. I was actually part of Christina's team not long ago. A lot of projects that I was doing were actually communication based. So it was right for me to take the next step in my career and actually move part of this team. So you can see group communications, intelligence, a lot of the divisions within the group are actually very linked, and you'll see that throughout the presentation today. So I'll be sharing my screen in just a few minutes. Let me know if you can or cannot see it. This is the typical question of, since 2020, can you see my screen? So give me one moment. Zoom is not really my friend. I'm more of a Teams person, but here we go. Can everybody see the screen if it's in presentation mode? Amazing, great. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. Please don't be shy. Let me know if there's anything I can answer as we go through the presentation. So welcome. It would have been lovely to have you all in Dubai, but I know everybody's in a different country. So we are based in Dubai, and we are the Chalhoub Group. We are a leading luxury partner, curator, and creator across the Middle East for over 65 years. We are specialists in retail, distribution, and marketing services based in Dubai. And our group has been a major player in the beauty and fashion categories regionally. And we develop our own brands and our partners' brands. So we were founded by the late Michael Chalhoub and his wife Widad over 65 years ago. We have been the ambassadors of luxury in the Middle East since then, with a deep understanding of the local customer, and we're dedicated to making every experience unforgettable for our customers. So we're driven by our purpose, and this defines us and gives us a reason for being. We aim to inspire, exhilarate, and delight. And we're guided by our values that bring us together, which are respect, excellence, and entrepreneurial spirit. And this is something, our group strongly believes in. These are values and purpose that are upheld by all our employees. And even if you walk into our head office, the words of respect, excellence, entrepreneurial spirit, they're engraved in the marble in the corridors. So you can definitely feel the sense of these values being shared every day by our people. So ours is a journey of humility, passion, and courage through time and across cultures. We are a family on the quest for the beautiful, and we have a promise to our employees and to our customers to make meaningful connections and lasting memories. So a glimpse into our history, we've been in the market for over 65 years. We started in 1955 where the in Syria. And throughout the years, given the somewhat political difficulties of the region, the business moved to Beirut. And then when the civil war erupted, it moved to Kuwait, and then another war erupted. And so we moved to the UAE in 1990, where we've had our business established here since then. And you can see definitely we have a huge regional expansion. We've grown operations in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Egypt, Qatar. We have a huge retail development where we have, a lot of globally recognized fashion and beauty brands joining. Louis Vuitton as early as 1982, Puig, Coty, Sephora, a lot of LVMH brands as well, even most recently Loewe in 2021. And it's not only international beauty and fashion brands that we bring to the region. We also have our own brands such as Level Shoes, Wow by Wajoo, Triano, which I'll be taking you through in further detail in a few slides. Most recently, we've been quite busy. The market is very active. The luxury sector is very active. So even most recently, as early as last month, we've been always on the edge of the latest trends. And most recently, the Christophe, the Art de Vivre tableware brand, which was acquired by Chalhoub Group in 2017. It was actually the first brand that Michael and Widad Chalhoub brought to the region, launched their first NFT. So it's always, exciting. They were the first table brand in the world to go into the NFT universe. So you can see that, the region is exciting, the brands we bring are exciting, and there's always something, that keeps us on the edge of our toes. So our ambition is to add value to our partners and our stakeholders. We continuously evolve ourselves to meet their needs and the needs of the customers in the Middle East. Like I said, the region is very different than others. It's always subject to change. Our customers are different here in the region. And this is how we add value to our partners, by understanding them. We're an ambassador of luxury lifestyles. We're a leading partner for luxury, and we're also a hybrid retailer. So we're bringing luxury experiences to the fingertips of customers everywhere, whether it's physical in our brick and mortar stores or online via our e-commerce platforms. Some numbers to take you through the slide. So we have over 13,000 team members within the group, scattered across the GCC and India, and I'll take you through the countries we operate in. We have over 108 nationalities, which is extremely diverse. Average age of around 34. We have over 680 retail stores, over 60 e-commerce websites and apps, and over 5.1 million unique customer records. So some fun facts and figures there to go through the group. We're powered by our people. They're at the heart of everything we do, and they represent the dynamic cosmopolitan population of the region. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, we have 100+ nationalities. Our female, 61% of our workforce is actually females. We have 38% of women in management, and over 72% of our workforce in Saudi are actually women, which is a very exciting figure. We're human first. We lead and live by one winning team and strong culture. So we've been recognized as a great place to work in the region, thanks to our investments in our people, offering best-in-class learning and development resources, and dedicating to our talents. And this is part of our culture that makes us who we are, and obviously a great place to work. We've also been ranked 3rd regionally with this prestigious award, which is very exciting. And I think most recently in KSA, we were number 1, I want to say. So that was extremely exciting for us as a group to have that accomplishment. We're also heavily invested in sustainability. So even as back to the early days when we were first founded over 65 years ago, it was very important to Michael and Widad that we give back to our community. And this is where Chalhoub Impact became, was brought to life. It's living up to our purpose to inspire, exhilarate, delight, and creating a positive impact built on solid foundations of business ethics and integrity. It's built on 3 different pillars, which is the planet, our partners, and our people. When we say planet, it's our commitments to tackling climate change. When we look to our partners, it's our commitment to building long-term relationships with them for common goals. And our people, we're committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this all when it comes to the planet, it falls under the Shalhoub Family Philanthropy, like I said, which was established when the group was first created over 65 years ago. So we consider ourselves an industry reference. We've become a major player in the fashion and beauty sectors regionally, and we're committed to building successful brands and shaping the markets. We have a division of fashion and accessories, obviously developing the fashion brands to cater to the Middle Eastern consumers and their unique tastes and preferences, and obviously providing a personalized experience. And we're also focusing on the beauty sector, where we have a lot of prestigious international and homegrown beauty brands. We create our own labels, and we have a very strong presence in our regional beauty markets. We have over 24 fashion brands, 84 beauty brands, with around 3,000 plus team members working in our stores and offering our customers unique and luxurious experiences. So we're brand builders. We're also, we are the house of the brands in the region. We help global brands, thrive in this market, but we also develop our own brands and we continue to incubate small businesses. The group is very active in expanding beyond traditional frontiers, and we've always, exploring emerging markets and looking for the most innovative business models. So as I mentioned, we have 6 own unique brands. We have joint ventures, franchise and distribution, and investments under our portfolio, and I'll take you through. I know sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, maybe a lot of business jargon here, but I'll try and simplify it as much as possible. I've been in the group for 5 years, and still sometimes, the business relationship is quite complex, so we'll go over it together. Customers are at the heart of everything we do, and it's all about offering our customers, obviously, a unique experience, a hybrid one as well, and keeping innovation at the forefront of everything we do. And obviously, in order to understand our consumers, we rely heavily on the intelligence, strategy, and growth team with their market and consumer intelligence. They're dedicated to industry and market data, and Christina will take you through everything that the team does. We have a loyalty program called Muse, which is the group's experience-led loyalty program. It differs from other loyalty programs, and its unique selling point is, some loyalty programs give you cash back, and some loyalty programs you have, no idea what they do. But Muse is designed to give you an experience. To take you through, for example, I was just upgraded in my tier, and part of the experience was, a facial at L'Occitane. So, those are, rewards for being dedicated shoppers to brands within the Shalhoub Group portfolio and receiving an experience as a way of a thank you. Like I said before, we have over 5 GCC markets covered, over 1 million Muse members, and over 23 customer experience journeys designed. So I'm going to touch briefly upon what the intelligence team does. They are a trusted partner for the group and our JVs when it comes to industry, market, and consumer insights. They are, I think, one of the hardest working teams in the group, and they're very supportive to all the brands and all the business verticals and anything they need when it comes to these 3 pillars. So they cover 5 GCC markets. They give in-depth understanding and strategic insights for prestige beauty and high-end fashion as well. But I'll leave Christina to this part because this is her expertise, and she'll take you through everything the intelligence team does. So we are retail experts, and we have a very unique business model. So as I mentioned earlier, we have brand management and representation. We have a lot of, worldwide recognized beauty and fashion brands such as NARS, Molton Brown, amongst many others. When it comes to fashion, we have a lot of brands under our portfolio like Kenzo, Salvatore Ferragamo, and we also have our own brands. Christophe, the Art de Vivre tableware brand. It was actually, as I mentioned, the first brand that Michael and Widad brought to the region because he wanted to bring luxury to the homes of people in the region, and it was actually acquired by the group a few years ago. And we have our own concepts level shoes, Triano, Tanagra, and Faces. I'll take you through those in a couple of slides. When it comes to joint,
which brand was the first one to be imported?
Christophe. So Christophe was the first brand brought to Damascus in 1955 by Michael and Widad, and it's a beautiful story actually. I mean, we can discuss it later, but you know, the fact that it was the first brand they brought to the region, and it helped establish, you know, the luxury group
And then
that
they
we are
ended up
today.
purchasing the whole
Exactly. We
in the region
purchased
or globally?
Globally. So
Now Christophe is owned by Chalhoub Group.
exactly. So the Christophe brand is actually, their head offices are in France on the Champs-Élysées, and we actually own that brand. So it's quite exciting.
Cool.
Amazing. Yeah, and we just launched our NFT, our first NFT. I mentioned it earlier a couple of weeks ago. So it was a very exciting time that, you know, we were the first to enter the NFT world for tableware. We also have a lot of joint ventures with some globally recognized names, Coty, Puig, Dior, Louis Vuitton, and we also have a lot of investments. Tabby, a buy now, pay later platform, Bernardo, La Bouche Rouge, Saint Honoré. So those are a couple of names that we are investing in. And obviously, you know, this business model couldn't be without our operations, our strategy, our CX and marketing team, accounting, logistics, you know, everything that makes a company run. And everything, you know, through our operations, we support our brands, whether they're our own brands or the global ones that we bring to the region. So as I mentioned before, nothing works in silos, everything has to work together. Our strategy, growth, innovation and investments team collaborates with operations, with our people and culture, our sustainability narrative, our corporate office and group communications team and country management all, you know, intertwine and interconnect with our commercial businesses, whether they're our joint ventures or our managed companies. So you can see everything is like clockwork, you know, the two wheels within a clock, everything has to work together in order for us to be successful. So we're a regional leader with a global reach. So our core and direct operations are in the GCC. And I should have maybe clarified earlier, the countries of the GCC are the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman. So those 6 nations. We have investments in Lebanon and Iraq. In India, we have a direct presence as a leading beauty distributor. In Latin America, we have investments in Saint Honoré with controlling shareholder investments in countries like Panama, Chile, Colombia, etc. And in Africa, we also have beauty distribution across 31 countries. So as you can see, you know, we started in one country in the GCC, and now we have a global reach, which is very exciting over the past 65 years. So like I said, the GCC is at the heart of our footprint. Our core markets are the UAE and a huge, you know, attraction to Saudi Arabia at the moment, given all the changes that are going on in the country. We have a vast number of stores in all our markets, and basically how, you know, GCC is at the heart of everything we do. And, you know, Christina will take you through the market share, and you'll see how much these countries play a large role in the luxury fashion and prestige beauty markets. Like a group like no other, we adapt to all of the changes that are going on in the markets we operate in and in the retail scene. So it's all about being omni-channel, data-driven, and being part of this e-commerce centered world. So our uniqueness expands beyond traditional services. We have a full range of plug-and-play services, which obviously support our businesses with various needs. And it's all about, you know, being prepared for the hybrid future through digitalization and advances in technology. And it was so clear how important these services were, you know, when we all went into lockdown, I think nearly 2 years ago, and everything was online, whether it was your groceries, whether it was, you know, your beauty needs, we had to rely on tech and online. And, you know, this is the importance, you know, it's not just a one-time thing, it's something that started and is growing throughout the time. So some of our plug and play services, and I touched upon them briefly a few slides ago. So some of our services we offer are legal services, retail tech, real estate, helping our brands get the best places and locations in malls. We have future-proof services, obviously, data, creating insights and products from all of the data we collect, our e-commerce websites, our intelligence team, our learning and development, our retail academy in Shalhoub University, which is used to upskill our employees and our frontliners as well. And we have a lot of complementary businesses. So we have The Deal, which is our liquidation off-price business. We have a lot of brands present in travel retail. We have Havas Village, which is a content creation, media, and PR office, which supports a lot of brands in those aspects. So, going in really briefly touching upon some of the future-proof resources. The tech unlocks and creates value and purpose for our business and our customers. E-commerce, obviously investing in world-class capabilities and scouting for the best global talent. Data, AI, and analytics, obviously providing insights, not just data, and using those insights to support our brands and obviously develop in our markets. Just gonna go really quickly here because I think I'm gonna be short on time. So going through our own retail brands, so we continue to grow and leave an impact on the region. And we always believe that, Shalhoub Group is one step ahead. We have over 6 retail brands and over 134 team members, which are focused on innovation and growth to make sure that we strive in our markets. So as I mentioned before, we're proud to be home of some of the industry's top creatives. We curate, it's always a tongue twister, homegrown concepts to provide a holistic experience and bridge the fashion styles between the West and the East. So taking you through our brands, obviously I mentioned Christophe a few slides earlier. It started off, as I said, the first brand that we brought to the region. Now it's present in over 70 countries and we have over 79 stores worldwide. Going into our other brands, we have Level Shoes, which is the largest omni-channel footwear and accessory retailer in the Middle East. And it's honestly one of my favorite places to shop because the collection of shoes and accessories is just, mind-blowing. Fun fact, it's actually the largest luxury footwear store in the world. It's actually larger than Shoe Heaven in Harrods or the shoe department in Selfridges. It's being compared to that top-notch retailers that are global. Triano is our own department store that's based in Abu Dhabi. It has leading fashion brands and beauty products as well. And Faces is our for the region, from the region, one-stop destination of everything beauty. It's home to a lot of globally recognized brands, and it also has its own brand called Wow Beauty Forward, which is actually, makeup and skincare designed for Middle Eastern women, and the intricacies and the requirements of women in the region, given the weather, the environment. So it's beautifully created pieces for women of the region. We also have Tanagra, which is offers quality craftsmanship design. It's an art de vivre store. It's owned by the group as well, as I mentioned, and it's just beautiful pieces for home decor. Ghawali is our modern Oriental niche brand, and it reinvents the Oriental universe. So here, fragrance, and I'm sure Christina will mention it, is a huge part of the Middle Eastern beauty routine, and especially Oriental fragrances. So Ghawali is our take and our modern twist on this Oriental universe. And it's very young, it's a very high-end experience, and honestly takes you through the Oriental fragrance experience very beautifully. So to our innovation and growth, and I'm wrapping up the presentation as I go through these last slides, our customers' experiences and the new market dynamics always means that we, have new expectations, and our business models are always going to change. And this is where the team comes in to give us insights on how to be successful in the future. When it comes to corporate ventures and acquisitions, they lead the group's strategic advantages and the ecosystem to develop significant value in all of the investments we do and help us achieve our 2030 vision. The Greenhouse and Ibtikar, who are beautifully hosting us today, it's our space for innovation and entrepreneurship. It leads the retail tech accelerator Ibtikar, and it's our in-house incubator for the employees when it comes to the beauty and fashion incubator programs. brand and beauty creation, offering the most relevant in beauty to our customers, bringing ideas to life, hybrid beauty retailers, and partnering with the most innovative beauty brands. So very exciting, tech innovative space the group has to offer. So wrapping up, as I take you through the group, some key messages we would like to share with you. So we are Chalhoub Group. We create magic together. We trust and empower for growth. We live and delight our customers for a moment or for a lifetime. We're curious, we learn, and we innovate. And in the wise words of Michael Chalhoub, who passed in 2021, please excuse my French, it's not the best. So we are des battants, fighters. The enemy is not competition, hard times, or new ways. What we fight against every day is complacency. And this was, these were words that Michael lived by, Michel, lived by, and, we carry on these words till today. So that's the group in a nutshell. I hope you found it interesting and maybe not too overwhelming. I've been in the group for 5 years and sometimes it's still difficult to capture everything we do. So I hope I was able to simplify it for you as much as possible. And I hope, you all were able to extract everything that we do and everything we live for and how we support our partners and our people as well. Any questions, ladies? I think we're still all ladies. Yes. Any questions? Please don't be shy. I'll be more than happy to help.
That was terrific. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's amazing seeing just how vast the reach really is of Chalhoub.
Definitely. 65 years, a lot can happen.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really interesting and really informative, and amazing to hear all the stories. I have one question. If Chalhoub Group, when Chalhoub Group is doing like investment and in companies, like what is the thing or one of the things they are mostly looking for when they are investing in a brand or a company?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
I wouldn't know how to answer.
I can step in for this one.
Yeah, of course, please, Christina, go ahead.
Well, I can step in just because we are part of, an SGII, we have an arm that is called investments. So we have very actively scouting the brands, and as an intelligence team, we participate with some of those assessments for the brands, especially for the categories. So I think I cannot share because I'm not a chief of investment, I cannot tell you exactly the parameter, but from our perspective, the maturity of the brand is quite important. So for now, there were, let's say, more investing in the brands that have already established in the market, has already established the product. So there is not so much until now seed investment that was happening. Now saying that, I think they're definitely looking in the innovation products and products that would be working in the region, but also globally. So I know that there were some discussions about seed investing and more like type of angel investing. But definitely the maturity of the product, the fact that it's an innovative product, that it fits to both region and global, those are important aspects. But that's in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Perfect. So any last final questions before we hand it over to Christina? No, all good. Okay, just on that as well, Daphne, Marco, who is from the investments team, he's a part of the bootcamp that's going to be delivered on Tuesday next week with Joanne. So you'll be talking about finance, but that you'll be able to grill him for questions on anything investments. Marco loves that. So
don't tell him I shared anything, huh? Maybe
Sorry?
It's gonna be. Sorry, I said don't tell him that I shared anything. Maybe it's gonna be a different story.
All good. So we'll hand the floor over to Christina. I'm going to share my screen on her behalf.
Thank you. Sorry, I have a technical issue with the Zoom sharing my screen.
No worries. Ladies, just may I drop off the call if that's okay?
Yes,
because I'm running a bit late for another meeting.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your time, Eileen.
You're very welcome. It was so nice to meet you all. Best of luck in your journey with the greenhouse. and hope to meet you all soon in Dubai.
See you.
Amazing.
you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Okay, can everyone see the screen? You're on mute, Christina.
Sorry. Okay, there we go. Well, so it's a pleasure to take you to the second part of this journey with our innovation lab, and take you through the Beauty Lab presentation. So we go to the next slide. So today what I wanted to take you through is really give you the macro overview. Aline gave you a little bit of the overview on the total group. Now we want to take you through the market overview of the GCC. Then take you through the personal luxury presentation that we actually did this March, and it's kind of a unique piece that is an information that we put from our different proprietary research, and then we share it globally, so it's used by all the large beauty groups, fashion groups, as well as consultants. And the last but the most interesting for you is really Prestige Beauty Deep Dive. So I will try to go quicker for section 1 and 2, and then we spend a bit more time on the Prestige Beauty Deep Dive. And there I also, want to make sure that I answer your questions. So to explain a little bit also what we do is my team collects data in the panels, which is kind of state of truth, let's say, reports in terms of the understanding of the prestige beauty space. We are always very happy to share to our partners. So we do a lot of deep dives with our partners from Joint Ventures. So whether it's Dior or L'Occitane or Sephora, as well as we really support our investments team and of course innovation. So, through your journey, if there is any particular topics that you would be interested in, you can connect with your with your leaders at the greenhouse, and then we're happy to answer more questions. So let's go. GCC overview. So going into the GCC and what it represents. So I'm sure all of you read about, the GCC, the Cooperation Council of Arab States that was formed in the 80s. So it consists of 6 countries. Several things that are very important to mention. One is Saudi Arabia, as you see by the map, is the largest country geographically, but it's also the largest country in terms of the population. 36 million people living in Saudi Arabia. Not surprised that a lot of conversations now about Saudi, about growth of Saudi, and the products that are related to Saudi, and so on and so on. Point number 2 is we have quite a small percent of locals population across the GCC. So if you look at different countries, the percent of local population is quite low, particularly in UAE. It's only 11%, which takes a big space with expats. When we talk about expats, important to understand that it's not only the expats that are coming there with the high paycheck and the gold visa. It's a lot of expats that work in service industry, so construction, cleaning and all that. And another point to mention, it's a very young population. So if you look in our population compared to Europe or US, we have 37%, 40% of people who are under 40, which is really large in comparative to let's say Europe, where the population is definitely more aging and maturing. Next slide, please. So we're looking at the GDP, and I don't want to be, kind of boring you too much with the economics factors, but the point to mention here is that in the Middle East, the GCC, so the 6 countries that I mentioned, represents 18%. However, 18% of population. However, when we look at the GDP, it represents 50% of population. So 50% of the GDP. So as you can see, it's quite a powerhouse of the region. And when we talk about Middle East, it's often talked about GCC as this very specific and space with a lot of opportunities and dynamism. Next slide, please. I will take you through a quick deep dive on Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Why we start with Saudi Arabia and not UAE? Because historically we were starting always with UAE. because the priorities and let's say the shift of attention has switched. Definitely, we can see in the past 2 years there is a lot of opportunities in the country is opening up, and I will take you through some of the key events and activities why we see what we see now in the region. So the just to compare in terms of the size, we often compare to France. France is the cradle of the beauty, of luxury, of innovation in the space. So it's 4 times the size of France. So already, gives a bit of a perspective. And it's quite a young population, as mentioned, and also very internet savvy population that is open to the e-commerce. One thing to mention, important one, is the tourism. So historically, there was only religious tourism in in Saudi Arabia, whereas now there is a lot of focus on bringing the global tourists for leisure, with the ambition to have 100 million people by 2030. You can go next. In terms of the developments, I'm very sorry, I need to take off my jacket because I have a problem with air conditioner and it's becoming very hot here. So I was trying to keep it cool and jacket it up for the first part, but now I'm starting to boil, especially as I'm talking. So, apologies, ladies. We keep the jacket for the end, the group picture. So in terms of the changes and what we see, so if you look here from 2016, there were a lot of changes and activities that were happening that were opening up the country. And of course, the restrictions were lifted. There was much more relaxation about, prayer time, closure time. So just to give you an example, historically, all the stores would be closed for all the prayers, and there was no music in the stores whatsoever. Women and men would not be able to go in the same stores at the same time. So you could only go to the same store if you are a married couple. So a lot of those, let's say, restrictions were lifted. And of course, there is a lot of focus now on female empowerment. And I think it's also very important to understand, when you are in France and Switzerland, I don't know, in New York, it's easy to say, oh yes, Saudi is a very closed country. There is still, things that are not, that are very, let's say, restricted. It all depends also on the kind of measuring stick, right? So if we look here, the changes that we observe in the country happened from the 2016 until now. So it's like 5-6 years. For a lot of those changes in the developed countries, it took actually much longer to take place. So again, I think there is a lot of, opportunity and change that we observe, and it's kind of only the start of the new Saudi that we are observing now. Can go next, please. In terms of the development, so I mentioned to you about tourism. There is a massive developments that are happening in the tourism and entertainment sector, as well as the places that are, opening with the new facilities, the Red Sea project with the new luxury tourism destinations, Alula, which is the UNESCO heritage site, a beautiful place. I will show you some pictures. All the brands are now really targeting it as a place to do their campaigns and shot their, the fashion or beauty campaigns, and other activities that are happening in the Riyadh region, which is also quite exciting. And we definitely see a lot of those projects materialize by 2030. We can go next. In terms of the retail development, so just a brief one again, I mentioned about tourism development, but on top of that, we have a lot of retail development. So again, echoing all this growth and opening up in a space in the region. Go next. Is there any way I can take a control of the slides? Sorry, just because I feel like I'm bothering so much with this.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm here, so it's okay. Don't worry at all. Honestly.
In terms of, sorry again for the technical time. In terms of the entertainment sector, we have a lot of events and activities that are opening up, and again, this is a very new phenomenon. We could not imagine before that Saudi would host Formula One, or there would be the International Luxury Week, Festival Week, Biennale, Middle Beast festival where all the DJs were coming to Riyadh, and it was really something quite an extraordinary fun event. And then we also see activities with the first opera house supposed to be opening this year. Go next. Moving to the UAE. So UAE somewhat is more familiar to most of the audience, but worth mentioning here is that it is actually 7 Emirates. So most of the time when we talk about UAE, we know Dubai, we know Abu Dhabi. Yet there are other Emirates that are quite beautiful and now is starting to attract much more tourism as well. And also we would most likely see more developments happening in that space as well. So when we look at Ajman or Fujairah, so those spaces have a beautiful nature and they're definitely developing. UAE is has a big focus on tourism, so 23 to 25 million tourism attracted by 2025, and of course we just recently had Expo with phenomenal attraction and phenomenal results for the participation and the visiting even during the post-COVID/COVID year. You can go to the next. So to give you a little bit of overview of Dubai, so as I mentioned, tourist hub, but it's also transportation hub. So when we talk about travel retail, when we talk about developments in the airport sales, it's definitely a massive space with the world's busiest international airport. We like to joke in Dubai that we like everything best, biggest, most beautiful. Which is kind of true. I think this is, and very quickly after you start living in Dubai, you start measuring everything by this excellence of being everything best, which is, quite an interesting psychological phenomenon, I find. Of course, it's also a retail hub with the world's largest mall. So again, you see we have the interesting concept, and Chalhoub Group actually owns the concept in the mall that's called Level Shoes. It's the kind of largest global shoe department store. Absolutely a beautiful space. If you have an opportunity to visit us, go visit Level Shoes. They have anything that you can imagine with fabulous services and cafe and so on. And last but not least, economic and financial hub with free zones and really a space for the development of the entrepreneurship and businesses. Next, please. Abu Dhabi. So classically, it's more calmer place. Cultural offer is expanding in the location. So we have the famous Louvre Abu Dhabi, which was opened several years back, and then there is a Guggenheim Museum that is building in Zayed National Museum. It is a smaller tourist attraction. It's a smaller scale versus Dubai, but they are developing new destinations for tourists to come as well. And retail is less developed than Dubai, but there is still quite a lot of activities as our clients, our customers really like to shop. Go next. To take you a little bit through the event, I mentioned that there is a lot of events and activities that are happening. This is just a selection of the events that happened in 2021 and we observed at the beginning of 2022. As you see, a lot of activities are happening in Dubai, but also in Riyadh, and those are not small events. There was really the events where brands, invested a lot. And for example, in the picture here, you see Fenty Beauty that did, the cover on our tower in the Burj Khalifa with the whole blown view of Fenty Beauty, and those are type of events that are really majestic, I would say, with a lot of investments, but also a lot of focus on attention that are happening in the region. We can go next. There are going to be just some slides for the pictures. So this is the Louis Vuitton, their jewelry exhibition. So you can see beautifully crafted, presented. Next one, Chanel Cruise collection that was presented in Dubai. Next, Dior Villa in Riyadh, this one. So again, a private event that was hosted to, with the VIP clients. Next, this is the Dior Sauvage event. So this is in Alula. So that's the historic heritage site that I mentioned to you. And they really converted it with a lot of focus on attention and heritage, but also product positioning. Next. So we are moving to the point number, section 2. looking into the personal luxury in 2021. So here, what I will take you through, just want to make sure that I'm not going to run over time too fast. Okay, we're fine. So in terms of the personal luxury space, so we wanted to give you the overview of what it represents, not only for beauty, but in overall space of the luxury, because everybody talks about Middle East luxury. And of course, we know it's a very growing space for the Middle East. We observed the growth of 23% in 2021 versus 2019. Particularly, we see amazing growth in fashion, luxury fashion, with the 39% growth. So this is, just to give a perspective, it is basically a growth in a year that is just after pandemic versus the pre-pandemic growth. So we are really in a kind of exploding region where people are, shopping, want to be entertained, want to really buy these products. And last but not least, of course, beauty, we saw the 6% growth, and I will take you in details later because we see that there are categories with the fragrance and skincare that grew quite a lot, and the category of makeup is still struggling, but we definitely see recovery. In terms of the market, I mentioned to you about Saudi. We see a strong growth of 19% versus pre-pandemic year. So again, just to measure how fast things are developing here. And in the UAE, which is our biggest market, we saw the 23% growth. Kuwait is another market that is very important. I didn't cover it in terms of the macro. In terms of the focus on the beauty products, definitely a market that needs to be, on your radar. Strong growth, 35% in the last year, represents 14% of the personal luxury. But in some areas like fragrances, it's definitely a larger space, like around 20 to 25%. We can move on. So in terms of the what are the key areas that made the growth of this space in 2021? Number one is definitely the new luxury consumer. Then it's a spend repatriation, the development of local events, retail events, strong focus on tourism and recovery of tourism, and then e-commerce growth. So I'll take you quickly through each point. I'm happy to answer your questions because then we will move to the deep dive on beauty, where we will look more detailed in the categories on beauty. So going to the next slide for the new luxury consumer. So here we're looking at who is the consumer in the Middle East. And here we really historically saw the consumer that is spontaneous, that is kind of sticking to what they know, keen to fit in, wary of e-commerce. Whereas now we see much more consumer that research, that want to experiment, that want to try new brands, that want to see brands speaking to them and not only kind of taking the brand just because it's famous in France, it will be famous here. I think it's also one of the key differentiator of Chalhoub Group, why we are so successful in the region is because we always look at that future, and not only what the consumer was following before, but also how it's developing, right? So if we were to see that some of our competitors still have the mindset that, okay, if it's famous in France, the brand first needs to be super famous in France, and then only then we can take the brand. Whereas we interact with the brands that are much more niche, that have really cool edge and vibe, and we want to make sure that we bring that innovation, that we bring that novelty to the market for the consumer to be interacting not only with the top luxury brands like Vuitton, Dior, which are of course important in our portfolio, but also of the new niche innovative brands. And of course, e-commerce, I will touch upon it later. We see strong development of e-commerce. Consumers are spending a lot of time on social media. It's an important channel, still a small channel, but definitely important for, in terms of the brand development in the region. Next slide, please. In terms of the spend repatriation. So this is a phenomena that is quite classic for the markets now that you see. Probably the biggest ones that you see is our market and also China. So of course, because the markets were closed, we have consumers that have quite a lot of wealth. There was a repatriation of that spend. So the consumers, instead of buying, in Europe, they were buying in the country, which also, explains this big growth of what we see. And Of course, it was due to the travel restrictions, import availability, elevated customer experiences that we see in the region, and the strong efforts on the clienteling. Can we go next? Next slide, please. Oh, did I freeze? Okay, thank you. No, I think it's not. I think it's not changing the slide. Yes, thank you. So to take you through what is important for the consumers when they're buying in the region is the key and also reasons why we differentiate and why we see that the consumers are buying in the region and they have expectations from the brands. So for sure, the limited collections, the availability of additional pieces, of having the VIP perks, of personalization, which is very important for our consumer here, and exclusivity. They always want to see, you know, something very special for the region, for themselves, and so on and so on. Can go next. In terms of the retail developments, so we see, as I mentioned, a lot of activities in the events, but we also see a lot of new stores openings, pop-up, new developments in terms of the Jeddah Park, Riyadh Boulevard, which is the kind of retailtainment concept that was developed last year. And in Riyadh, it's kind of a mix between entertainment, retail spaces, activities, concerts, and again, you know, a lot of new stores opening, and at the same time, there is a lot of events that are opening. So both are creating new dynamism in the market. Next, please. Tourism recovery. We still saw that the tourism were down 56% in the last year. You know, it's interesting to see also the split of tourism. So we definitely see India, Saudi, and you know, India, Saudi, and UK that were the #1 countries. Last year we saw Russia that was taking the #3 position in terms of the composition of the tourism. If we go to the next slide, so we have see less tourism, but the ones who are coming, they spend more. So again, it's really you know, a space where the tourists, when they come to the region, they definitely have their average basket has increased, and we actually see a lot of revenues coming from the Egypt customers, which were historically maybe more often going to Europe, and last year they were coming a lot to the region, to Dubai particularly. To go next. E-commerce is the kind of last but not least, one of the key aspects of our growth. Still represents small share. If we look at the beauty, only 11% of our market, fashion 15%. If we look at the global markets for beauty, if we look at the US market, it would be around 35 to 40% of the total market. So we're still in a small, you know, space of the market, but it is definitely growing very fast. And we also have, you know, strong local players such as Boutiquat and Namshi that are, you know, definitely taking a strong position in the beauty space. And Sephora, of course, is the a big player in the space, but it doesn't grow well. It's not as big as our local pure players. Fashion to mention as well. Farfetch is, of course, you all know, is the #1 player, and then Unas is a local player that also plays on beauty, and I will show you later their share. Important player to pay attention to, particularly when you start, you know, growing and positioning your brand in the market. Go next. So in terms of what is the consumer expecting? So we see that the last mile is very important. Same day delivery, things like cash on deliveries are the key components. We see a lot of innovation that are happening in the market. So for example, we have a 2-hour delivery that is possible. We have a 30 minutes delivery that was launched by by Faces, that is our distributor for the beauty. So again, consumer is really fast here. They really want their product when they want it. They don't want to wait. They don't want to be, delivered in 1 week with some kind of delays. So important concepts. And that's also one of the reasons why we see pure players making such a strong game here. But then we also see that the consumers now on e-commerce are expecting more interactions. So chat with the advisor, virtual try-ons, word for beauty and for fashion as well. So both are important in that space. And we can move on. If for the next slide. So I wrapped up the section on the overall space on the luxury. Now we will do the prestige beauty deep dive. I don't know if any of you have questions on this overall, let's say, luxury space. Okay, we can move on. So prestige beauty. What we are looking at is the panels. So if we can go to the next slide. So essentially, we're collecting the panels on consumer and panels on the sizes of the market. So here with the panel on consumer, we can show you the very targeted studies that we do on the consumer for the prestige beauty space. And one of the points that we ask about is spending. So we're measuring different quarters. So let's say this was a Q4 last year and Q1 this year to understand if the consumer is spending more or spending less. So here we definitely see that more than 50% of the consumers are planning to spend more. So again, very positive indications for the market, even though there is inflation, even though, you know, there is different factors like global economic macro factors that negatively impacting our space, we still see that consumers want to spend more. Go next. We also see in the next slide, please. We also see that the consumers are looking to buy in the full price. So there is a discounting that is of course important in all the markets, but we have a big group of the consumers that are saying that it's actually okay for us. We just want to spend on the full price. And here you see we have a split between Saudi and the UAE, and in the Saudi Arabia, there is even bigger chunk of the consumers that are saying that they want to be spending on a full price, that they will be spending 43% of the consumers claim that they will spending on full price. We can go next. So in terms of the importance and what is important, I mentioned in the previous slide about the importance of the same day delivery. And here, quarter over quarter, we see that it remains the number one factor. But now we also see that things like product reviews and virtual try-ons and having that interaction and with the consumer. So again, for your brands, very important to keep in mind that our consumers is now really starting to look and learn about the product and reading about the product before they actually buy it. You can go next. What are we looking at here is also skincare focus. So we wanted to make some deep dive on certain categories, and we ask consumers whether they are planning to look more in skincare. Skincare historically is a very small part of the business, around 13%, but here we definitely see that there is more interest and more growth in spending. And then we'll look at type of brands. So historically, pharma brands were very strong in the region, and then the mass brands as well, whereas prestige took a small chunk. But still, even with the small distribution, we see that the consumers are looking to buy prestige beauty skincare brands. You can go next. So going into the sizes of the market, which is the most, let's say, technical part. So don't hesitate to stop me or ask me questions. So to give you an idea, these are the panels and the studies we prepare for our global partners. It is a very specialized work that our team does. It is the proprietary work of Chalhoub, and it's also the type of data that you cannot get anywhere else. So neither NPD, no Nielsen, no Euromonitor, no BCG can provide you this type of detail. So of course, we are very happy to share to you, as you are now part of Chalhoub family and have access to this data and research that traditionally only our big partners have access to. So the prestige beauty market represents 1.6 billion, which is the composition of the three axes. So here we're not capturing hair and we're not capturing accessories or any other space. So just if we look at the broader space with the prestige, we are looking at the market of around 3 billion. So here the e-commerce represents only 10% of the market. And when we look at the composition of the categories, fragrances is the number one space. It's the over 50% in the market. So you can see with the very strong growth versus 2019, recovered very fast. It's historically we're a fragrance market. People like to layer fragrances. They like to buy different fragrances, and it's like for them somewhat a ritual to have it with them. If you know a little bit the Asian markets where there is a lot of skincare usage and skincare regime or routine exists and consists of minimum 7 products, we actually have this type of experiences in the Middle East for fragrances where there is this older study and understanding about the fragrances. And I think it's very also false to say that sometimes there is an idea that, oh, they buy fragrances just because it's expensive. It's completely false. Consumers in the region buy fragrances because, first of all, they love fragrances, and second, because they also understand it. So you would be surprised how sometimes we have conversations with Dior or other niche perfume brands, and they say, oh, we had a consumer and they came to us and they could distinguish between the jasmine from this country or jasmine from this country, or rose smell that came from different regions, which is absolutely amazing. In Paris, I've never experienced that a person would come to the store and tell, oh, this is a rose from Afghanistan versus rose from Egypt. This is different smell. So anyways, definitely big fragrance game. Makeup is the number 2 category, still not recovered to the level of 2019, but we see the trajectory of growth. And skincare small, but as you see, the growth is really there. So for those of you who have the skincare brands, definitely great momentum. And but again, the market will recover, and I will show you that at the end. Just checking how we do with time to make sure that I have the good space. Yes, we're good. So in terms of the countries, as I mentioned to you before, the UAE is the number 1 market, but then we also saw very strong growth in the beauty in the UAE. Saudi were flat, but one important concept, I don't want to get too technical, but basically because of the expo in the UAE, we had a lot of Saudis that traveled in the UAE. And when we look at the future projections, we definitely see that Saudi market will be developing faster. We can go next. I don't want to, again, get too technical, because I know some of you are more interested in, specific niche topics. But to give you a perspective is to understand where, when we look at, for example, on the left slide, on the slide of the part of the slide, is total beauty 10% of e-commerce, skincare 17% of e-commerce. So of course, if you are a skincare brand, make sure you have a strong game in the e-commerce space. It's the most penetrated in out of all categories. Makeup is 13%, and fragrances is the smallest e-commerce play with the 6%. In terms of the countries, we definitely see the strong penetration of the skincare in the UAE. So again, strong interest. And then in terms of the makeup, we have a very strong, presence in the makeup and in Saudi and the UAE. We can move next slide. So to give you perspective on who are the main players. So always the big question, where should we distribute? Sephora is by far the leader in the place. I'm sure most of you already thought about Sephora, interacted with Sephora. It's really a fantastic place to grow brands. Margins is always a question mark in terms of how fast you can scale your brand versus how much money you have at the end of the day in your pockets. So whether in the region, it is definitely a number 1 player. So if we look at the spaces of Europe, where you have historically, 3 players that are splitting the pie, here it's Sephora, and in the upcoming years, it's definitely going to remain so. They have very strong play. The good news for you, maybe, I don't know how the program will be structured. Sephora is the joint venture with Chalhoub Group. We have fantastic relationship with them. I was just presenting actually at their board with their global presidents, visiting Dubai. So we have strong basis with them. So could be, hopefully could be easier for you to open the doors. Looking at another player, which definitely is important one, is Faces. This is a concept that is owned by by Shaloub. It's going now in some of the changes, and there is a space with the beauty nations where the new brands are represented, and I'm sure you will have presentation with the faces themselves, so I don't want to steal the thunder. We see that their market share has dropped, but I want to also mention that they were closing stores and they were focusing on more profitable stores. So it's not to say that because they're closing the store, something bad essentially is happening. And then department stores are smaller, but they are actually have the strong game, and they show the strong growth. E-commerce, Bouticat is the local player, pure player, strong game, particularly in the fragrances. Sephora is number 2, and then Unas and Namshi are the players that are also very worth looking at. And as I mentioned before, particularly with Unas, strong pure player, strong game, and developing more into the prestige beauty space. Go next. In terms of the brand rankings, so again, very exclusive information to give you the snapshot on the market with the top 10 players. Of course, those are all international big brands that are topped up with a lot of marketing budget. Dior is a 3-axis brand, so have very strong presence with the 11.5% market share, historically a very known brand in the region. Chanel is number 2 with the 7%, so you can see between number 1 and number 2 there is quite a big gap. Sephora collection is of course the collection of Sephora, which has the strong game, and then after that we have the several makeup brands with Makeup Forever, Benefit, and MAC. To mention here what is interesting, Makeup Forever is the number 1 in e-commerce, and we are the only market where Makeup Forever is doing so well. So basically all the other markets, they are maybe number 12, number 15, whereas here on e-commerce, they are number 1. MAC is a historically very strong player. It's underperforming now, had a lot of challenges. And then we see the brands that have more skincare, for example, Guerlain, that is also in the top 10 and having kind of a flat market share. Can move next. I will take you quickly through each category. So fragrances, I think I looked at the list of your brands. I don't think any of you are the fragrance brand, unless I'm mistaken. So we'll go through this one quickly. Fragrance is, as I mentioned, the number 1 space in the market. E-commerce is the smallest one, but then we see the growth. We saw the growth in all countries with the 35% growth in UAE, which is amazing from the pre-pandemic growth, and growth in Saudi as well with the 8%. It's a category that definitely we project to grow. Can go next. Makeup, again, I think I mentioned more that the space is still recovering with all countries. If you look at the right, are still in recovery mode, with the Kuwait, only Kuwait being above, with the e-commerce at 13%. So again, we see that there is improvement in the trend, and in Q4 last year, we saw that there was a growth. Next is skincare, which could be a bit more relevant to your to quite a lot of your brands. 200 million market, which we consider could double in the 3 to 5 years. A lot of interest from different brands in the space. All the countries are growing, with the UAE, Saudi, Kuwait showing very strong growth. Bahrain is the only market that was declined, but it's not because of the category itself, but because of the let's say the geo situation. There was a bridge that was closed in Bahrain versus Saudi, and the Saudis could not come to shop in Bahrain. So that was the biggest challenge. And again, we see that it's a big opportunity market, big opportunity for the region in skincare. Can go next. So in terms of the results and what do we see at the beginning of the year, right? So I showed you the last year. Now, how is this year progressing? Can go to the next slide. The 400 million business growing 8% and plus 8% versus 2019, plus 14% versus 2021. One of the markets that is really dynamic now with the all categories growth versus last year. Makeup shows 21% growth versus last year. So again, growth trajectory, we definitely will see that this category will recover. And all markets has shown growth versus 2019, except for Bahrain. You can go next. In terms of the market space, so Sephora was at 37% last year. In Q1 this year, just to be sure, Q1 is, well, I think I don't need to explain it. It's the first quarter of this year. So until year to date March, we don't have Ramadan results in here. Ramadan would be even higher, we think. 49% market share for Sephora, followed by Mono Brands, and then the department store Harvey Nichols, and then Faces. In e-commerce, you see that Unas is quite strong, but the number one is Boutiquat with the 21% market share. And then also growing the share versus last year. We can move on. And next slide, give you the projections, kind of finishing with the big bang in terms of what are we expecting in the upcoming years. If you go to the next slide, please. So what do we see? We saw that the market, I told you that the market grew 7% from 2019 to 2021. As I told you, the makeup was still on recovery. So if we look in the next 2 years, from 21 to 23, the makeup is supposed to be at the level of 2019 at the beginning of next year. So as you can see, it's probably important if you put any projections for you to input that the market growth is considered +6, with the category of skincare to reach 250 million in 2023, fragrance 944, and makeup is 655, to the total market, 3-axis market of 1.8 billion. So again, we do expect a lot of dynamism. We expect a lot of dynamism from Saudi Arabia with the CAGR. So that's the the average of the growth between the 21 to 23 at +8%, and then the UAE at +6%, followed by other countries. Others here is a very small space. It's actually only the Oman and Bahrain that is included there. So this is a kind of a wrap up of the total of the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. I hope it was not too technical. And of course, we're happy to answer your questions. Happy to be in touch if you need questions, support, subcategories, deep dives. We're very friendly with our sisters and brothers at the Greenhouse. So happy to help.
So does anyone have any questions on all of that? I know there was definitely a lot of information, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Christina. But again, if there is stuff that comes up as well along the way that you want to explore, or have deep dive into, you can reach out to us and we can put you in touch with the intelligence team. But based on the information she shared today, do any of you have questions or any points?
I have a question. First, thank you, Christina. That was so insightful and really interesting. So thanks for taking us through that. Just one question, with the skincare growth specifically, it'd be interesting to see or to know what is driving that growth. Like, is it cleansers? Is it moisturizers? Is it serums? Do you happen to know that information? I don't know if it's something that you have off the top of your head, but I was just curious as you were going through it.
Yeah, so first of all, maybe just from the top level, even without going into details, whether it's what are the subcategories, we definitely see that the consumer is kind of interested more into the self-care, the wellness, the treating. So historically, it's the region that kind of the quick fixes were more important. So going to get a Botox is a much kind of faster way than to buy an expensive cream and use it for 2 months and then see the results. So we start seeing that there is more focus on wellness. Pandemic definitely helped in a way that, there was definitely more self-care that was happening and more education, where consumers started to look into products and say, okay, I actually want to, start using this mask and start using this category. Whereas before, maybe they were just buying 2 products like cleanser and the moisturizer, and that's it. In terms of the subcategory analysis, look, I will be very transparent. We are collecting a lot of panels, but some areas we haven't been doing deep dives on the space. So we don't have right now I don't have a data now to support to say whether it's masks or whether it's cleansers. But one thing that I can say is we start seeing probably more of the basket that is expanding. So the consumers are starting to look at additional products, where it's serums, where it's masks, where it's different maybe tools. We're also looking at Chalhoub Group at different innovative brands which are interesting for the consumers here. So I don't know if you heard, for example, places like Face Gym, which is the combination of the product and the product and the tools, which we do see that definitely would be resonating to the consumer in the market.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Christina, that was an awesome presentation, really, in terms of just better understanding the market. One of the questions I had is just, I saw there was source on the bottom that just said Chalhoub internal like data. I just would love to better understand just how the group actually goes about getting all of this different information. And then the second one is if there's trends that MENA seems to be capitalizing on in the coming years.
Yeah, good question. So the sole existence of my role and my team is to actually work on this reports and studies. So we're kind of the keeper of all this very sensitive information. So there is different things. So first we do the consumer panels. So we interact with different agencies, and then we issue different panels of the consumer, of the beauty, fashion, and watches and jewelry now to really track the consumer sensitivities. Second is about the data itself. So how do we collect it is the very say complex and a bit tedious exercise of actually collecting data from the brands and retailers. So we have, in joint venture, we have a big cluster of the brands, but we also have brands that are our competitor or, somewhat interacting with Chalhoub, but not part of our portfolio. They do send us data as well. So we basically collect on a monthly, on bi-yearly and yearly basis, a lot of studies and work where we receive data from the brands. I have a team of 7 people who actually work on all this research, reports, and analysis. And essentially, that's why I say, this is the information that is kind of available to the selected few. For the reason being that as Chalhoub we are positioned as the expert in the market, so we are definitely by far the best partner who can provide the understanding, the deep dives, the knowledge of the market, and this is how we track all this data. Sorry, and the second question was about sharing this.
No, not sharing. It was about trends.
Oh yes, for trends. Fashion trends, we are actually I cannot because beauty trends is a bit difficult. We're still trying to understand how we build that. But for fashion trends, we signed with the partner called Heritech. They're going to develop actually the deep dive on the trends of the Middle East, which is I think extremely exciting, and it's going to be exclusive to the Chalhoub Group for 2 years. For the beauty, I'm personally looking at different partners who can help us how to develop it. We do also create kind of trends analysis or understanding what is happening in the region in a large scale. But then when it comes to the targeted analysis, we do build projections. So as I showed you, the growth by category, the growth by market. And we are definitely looking into the space. How do we get more granular about the categories and the future of those categories' growth?
Thank you, Christina. Your work is so exciting. It's amazing to be able to get such a broad range of data just on what's happening. And by far, I'm sure this is the best data in the region.
Thank you. Yeah, with that, I can put my golden stamp of acclamation that is the best data in the region.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how people are spending on what, compared to the US, it's so different. So it's really cool to see this.
Yeah, we do have the big study on the this we call GCC luxury sentiment, which combines fashion and beauty. I will be sharing it to our partners. And I also, sorry, but I don't know how exactly the structure of the program is. As Shalhoub Intelligence, we run every month what we call Shalhoub Intelligence Forum. If you could be invited, I think it's, well, I'm happy that you would be invited, because we have different topics that we cover. And one of them would be that big sentiment study that we track. So, you know, definitely we can put you on the list to participate in those activities too.
When's this session, Christina?
So the next session where we cover watches and jewelry and the Q1 update, which may be not as interesting, is on the 30th. And then we will plan the one in June. And there we will most likely include the JLS, new JLS. So
Okay.
watch out for that. It's called the CIF's Shalhoub Intelligence Forum.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, any other questions? I'm conscious, I know Christina will have to jet off. Okay, perfect. Well, Christina, thank you so much for your time. Aline has already left, but we really appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure the girls will get to see more of you later on, because I know they'll want more deep dive information as we go through the program. But we really appreciate your time. And thank you for coming to meet all the brands.
Of course. Good luck, everyone. Happy that,
Thank
you know,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
space. So great start for you in the Middle East. Come conquer this space. You know, wishing you an exciting growth, and really, really all the best. All the best to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much. Bye, Christina.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm just going to